All right, let's talk about one of the most incredible buildings on the entire planet, the Hagia Sophia. Seriously, for almost 1,500 years, this place has been a symbol of, well, everything: power, faith, and some seriously amazing human creativity.
I mean, this building has seen empires come and go. Its story kicks off with this massive, almost impossible architectural challenge. You have to ask yourself, how on earth did they build this thing? We're talking 1,500 years ago. No modern machines, no steel, yet they created something so huge and beautiful it still blows your mind today. So, just to give you an idea of how big we're talking, look at that giant central dome. It soars 180 feet up from the floor. That's like stacking a 15-story building inside. Back when this was built, something this massive, it wasn't just impressive. People thought it was a flat-out miracle. Okay, so how did it happen? Let's jump in our time machine and head back to the Byzantine Empire. We've got an emperor, Justinian the First, and this guy had a huge vision. He wasn't just building a church. He wanted to build the grandest cathedral ever, something that would shout to the world how powerful his empire was. And this led to the biggest engineering puzzle of the ancient world. Think about it. How do you put a giant, heavy, round dome on top of a square room? If you just plop it on there, the corners have no support and the whole thing would just collapse. But his architects, they had an absolutely brilliant idea.
They came up with something totally new, a game-changing invention called the pendentif. So picture this. It's a curved, kind of triangular piece of stone that perfectly fills the awkward space between the round dome and the square corners. It acts like a funnel, taking all that massive weight and directing it safely down into 4 huge pillars.
And this design, wow, it was a total game changer. Suddenly, you could have this gigantic, wide-open space inside. You didn't need a whole forest of columns holding up the roof like they did in most big buildings before this. It just felt open and huge. But here's where it gets even more clever. The architects basically used light as a building material. Right at the bottom of the dome, they put in a ring of 40 windows. So when the sun shines through, it makes this unbelievably heavy dome look like it's just floating on a ring of pure light. Can you imagine seeing that for the first time? It would have felt like actual magic. So for more than 900 years, the Hagia Sophia was this amazing Christian cathedral. It was like the center of the universe for the Byzantine Empire. But then, in 1453, its story takes a huge, dramatic turn. What happened was the city, Constantinople, was captured by the Ottoman Empire, and the new ruler, Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror, was just blown away by this building. So he decided to convert it into an imperial mosque. And just like that, a whole new chapter in its long, complicated history began. And so the building started to change. On the outside, they added 4 of those tall, skinny towers you see, which are called minarets, used for the call to prayer. And on the inside, well, some of the Christian art, the mosaics, were covered up with plaster, and these huge, round panels with incredible Arabic calligraphy were hung up. You know, this change from a church to a mosque ended up creating something really unique. The Hagia Sophia became this amazing place where the art of 2 different religions started to live together, side by side. It's like the walls themselves started telling a whole new story. Now, the original inside of this place was just wow. It was covered in these glittering artworks called Byzantine mosaics. And we're not talking about paint. Imagine people putting together millions of tiny little tiles of glass and stone, a lot of them covered in actual gold leaf, to make these giant, shimmering pictures. In the candlelight, it must have looked absolutely unreal. So for centuries, these incredible works of art were actually hidden right under a layer of plaster. But then, in the 20th century, the building was turned into a museum, and experts began the super careful job of uncovering the mosaics, showing them to the world for the first time in ages. And this is what makes this place so special. It really shows you the building's deep, layered history. You can literally stand in one spot and see a beautiful Christian mosaic right next to one of those giant Islamic calligraphy panels. It's like seeing 2 different cultures having a conversation right on the walls. Okay, so building something this huge was already crazy difficult. But doing it in a city that's famous for major earthquakes, that's just incredibly risky. The fact that it's still standing isn't luck, it's a story of some really smart engineering. See, over hundreds of years, whenever an earthquake did some damage, engineers would come in and add these massive stone supports on the outside called buttresses. They're basically just giant, thick walls pushed up against the main building to hold everything together and stop it from collapsing. And because of all these repairs and extra supports, the Hagia Sophia has survived for more than 1,500 years. Just think about that. Famous landmarks that we think of as ancient, like the Eiffel Tower or the Empire State Building, they're practically brand new compared to this. It's just amazing that it's still here. So the Hagia Sophia didn't just survive, it inspired people. It basically became the blueprint for amazing buildings all over the world. That dome design was so good that for hundreds of years, architects everywhere, from Istanbul to Europe, were studying it and using its ideas to build their own grand structures. And today, keeping this treasure safe is a massive international effort. You've got experts working all the time to take care of the fragile art and the ancient stone, making sure that this incredible monument to what humans can do will be around for a long, long time. You know, when you hear a story like this, it really makes you think, doesn't it? What are we building today that people will still be visiting in the year 3500? What masterpiece from our time will be left to tell our story 1,500 years from now?